Okay, am I still showing then the Tri-Valley goals? Perfect. Okay, so what we want to do this year, and Kyoko, feel free to speak up here. I want to make sure I get the right ask right at the start before, in case some volunteers have to drop off early. As I mentioned, we are looking to rebuild in preparation for a large number of volunteers. The Bay Area Coalition has started up phone banking. Right now, it's for the New York special election to replace Santos. However, it'll get moving as at a regular cadence on Wednesdays from 5 to 7 p.m. And this is a gathering from across the whole Bay Area. We're part of the larger coalition, and so we're advertising for their large scale phone banks. In the earlier years, we had been trying to set up our own phone banking teams, but over the last 2 cycles or so, it's become clear that it's just a lot more efficient to work with the structure that the Bay Area Coalition has set up and to channel the volunteers into that, but still try to keep a team of phone banking experts as well as volunteers who are willing to do phone banking that are connected to one another across the Tri-Valley. I've even seen this with some of the volunteers sign up, aren't sure how to get into the process and are reaching out during the day to try to find some feedback about how that process works. And so that is a lost opportunity for us to make sure that those volunteers know what's going on, that they can get in there and they can take action that makes them feel like they were able to make some progress. So we are looking for phone banking support. We have some canvassing leads and concierge plans coming together. And I wonder if Van or Kyoko, if one of you two could speak to how that plan is starting to shape up. Is that something
I haven't had any participation on it, but if
Yeah.
there's a plan, I'm listening.
Well, I know that my apologies. Van had volunteered, and Kyoko, did you want to explain what that you were envisioning?
So, we are actually working with Bay Area Coalition just because we do not have the capacity to actually do all the canvassing in the phone banks. But, yes, we would like to do those things by ourselves, but we are going to have more volunteers, just like 2018, 2020. Every time when the big election comes, the volunteers will come in later. And what we want to actually do now is some of us to be trained and start practicing what we need to do for canvassing and phone banking. So when the time comes, so right now, all you need to do is get trained, and I don't care if it's once a month or twice a month, you just commit to actually doing it. And you can mess it up now because we don't have hundreds of people doing things, right? So we really need to recruit and get trained people to actually support these events. That's what's going on right now. And it will be ongoing rest of the year. But since you are here, that means you are invested in this thing. So we would like you to do this. So the canvassing leads has 2 things. So one is a staging person. So that is the person who actually goes to the location and set it up and gives an instruction, some short training. We will do the like Zoom training ahead of time, but you still have to have some hands-on training at the location. So that's the canvassing leads or training staging location person. And the concierge is when somebody actually signed up, you call them up and do you need any training? Do you need coupling? All those information will be gathered. And so you will just help them being more comfortable getting there. So by doing this, and it's before we just did a confirmation course, that was not enough. But the Bay Area Coalition created this concierge staff. And since then, we have much better participation rate. So not lots of people drop off because we are actually making connections ahead of time. And phone banking leads and trainers, most of you are probably familiar with that. But so phone banking just doesn't happen. We need trainers on Zoom, and we need Zoom person who does the backend job. The same thing, the confirmation calls, asking questions ahead of time, and trainers. So all these things, people needs to be on the Zoom, ready to help the participants. So to make successful phone banks, we need a lot of people because nobody wants to do it every single week. Nobody can do it every single week. So we need to have multiple people trained now through like August, because September hits, we are gonna have more people. And I had some questions about phone banking. Canvassing is most effective. Right now, the door opening to you is about 30%. So that means when you knock 10 doors, you are gonna talk to 3 people, 3 households. That's very efficient. You can knock probably 30 doors, so you will talk to about 10 people in 1 hour. Of course, you have to drive there and come back, so the entire time. Yeah, but also the people likes to talk to other people, so it's most effective. And so if you could do it, go ahead and do that. But phone banking is also needed because when we cannot go to the canvassing, so say we are helping Arizona, then us making calls free up local volunteers to knock on doors. So that's how entire campaign works.
Yeah.
And phone banking has been changing, so that's another thing we know. Yes, not many people are picking up the phone calls, but still, whenever we can talk to them, it's very important.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, it got so long.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for explaining. So this is our critical ask, and we'll hit this again at the end, but I wanted to make sure this was up front as we're planning to build back up the team, to get prepared for what will be a lot of eager volunteers looking for help so that they can take action. We need people who are getting trained and prepared ahead of time, so we don't have a whole lot of stress and confusion in the system when the critical days arrive. So this is, as Kyoko mentioned, canvassing, phone banking. If people are interested in doing the back end organizing, just helping us keep track of the volunteers that are moving on through, make sure they're contacted ahead of time before the events to remind them about the events. That substantially increases turnout. There's other tricks that people can do. So if there's anything you're interested in helping in, then reach out to me afterwards. We'll also, at the later part of this meeting, we'll send out a little form that you can look through options for how you can take action, how you can volunteer, and you can note down what you're interested in doing. So with that in mind, let's jump back into the regular swing left presentation. So where we are now is several cycles down from the initial push that got swing left started in 2018. And this was begun after Trump's election, and swing left was created as a resource for people who were trying to figure out what to do about taking part after they saw that the political system clearly needed a lot more input. This is since swing left's founding in the 2017 timeframe. There's been more than 1 million grassroots members, and there's over 500 organizations across the country that are continuing to take action. And this has resulted in an incredibly significant number of calls, canvas outreach, letters that have helped change the political climate. So every on season, every off season, every midterm, it keeps turning out with a Democratic lean that pollsters have routinely been underestimating since Trump got elected. And that is us. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that is the resistance. It's the people who stood up and said, it's time for us to start doing something, that keep coming out year after year, keep doing the grassroots work. It's not the ads. It's not the political climate. It's the volunteers who continue to show up. And they take action, they contact other voters, and they make sure that the votes swing, and it keeps turning more and more Democratic as time goes on. So thank you. And I think we all know we're going to need that again. 2022 and 23 were actually banner years for good Democratic turnout in what would have been a very significant red win. We were actually able to halt that and begin pushing that back. And this is our opportunity to make substantial gains in this upcoming year. Yep. So we have a couple of priorities here. Unsurprisingly, we need to regain the House. Now, this is a razor thin margin. So this is not, we're not talking about 20 or 30 seats we need to gain. The margin keeps dropping constantly as more and more red representatives are dropping out, are getting replaced. Special elections, if you notice, Democrats routinely win special elections now. That's because of us again. Right? That is because of grassroots volunteers like you that are turning out on off-season times to write letters, to make calls, in what would classically be seasons in which people are politically disengaged. It's no longer the case. And weirdly, we have Trump to thank for that, I guess. So that is that's a contradiction of some kind, but it's where we live now. We need to defend the Senate majority, and we need to make sure that we re-elect Biden. I don't think I need to explain why those have to happen, but those are all possible to achieve. And that's because there are states in which these requirements overlap. And these are what Swing Left National likes to call the super states. This is where winning key races for Democrats has an impact on multiple different fronts, both on the state level and on the national level. So if we look at some of these here, the 12 super states that Swing Left is focused on are listed here. In particular, I want you to focus on the western states there. That's where we'll be putting a lot of our effort into. Now, did I switch? Okay, here we go. So these are states key to a U.S. Senate majority, as well as, here we go. And then these are the states that are key to the U.S. House majority. Now, you'll notice California is on that list. So what we have to do is actually do the work in our backyard of ensuring that we can flip some local districts to help take the U.S. House. So this is not that far from us. That's why canvassing actually matters here and matters significantly. California has a number of districts that are definitely flippable, that are within drivable distance from us. So if we put all these all these conditions together, if you overlap the states that are key for the presidential, the Senate, the House, and even state level races, you can see that there are some states that really stand out as having a significant outsized impact. And that's the ones that are striped here. In particular, again, look at Arizona. Right? It's close enough to us that we can have an impact. We might even be able to pull off canvases out there. And some of the prior cycles, the Bay Area did gather up canvases for doing long-term drives, for like weekend drives out to Arizona. But we are focused on that as one of these key states for having a significant and outsized impact on all four of the levels that we care about. So Swing Left has nationals chosen these races, these states, because of how close the margins are, because they're winnable, because they have a high impact. So instead of us focusing on trying to move the needle a little bit in a heavily Republican, dominated state, we're talking about states that are within a few percent. So a few percent change in turnout through phone banking, through postcarding, is enough to flip the entire state and change the nature of the race. So let's talk about the obvious priority here is Trump cannot win. Biden needs to remain president. Now there are obviously a number of key states to ensure that happens. These states are noted on the left. Those are the ones in which there is in which the votes are close enough that a lot of effort will be put into the state to try to swing them to ensure that they can achieve the 270 electoral votes needed. Now, on top of winning the presidential election, we need to regain the Senate, like I mentioned earlier. We have a very slim Senate majority, And unfortunately, we have a lot of, here we go. We have a lot of races, Democratic races that are up for contention this season. Now, arguably, that's a good thing, is that if we're going to get significant Democratic turnout, then bringing up, having Democratic races come back up when we expect to be, have significant voter engagement may be a good thing for us overall. We are looking to re-elect Democrats in a number of states here. There's Arizona, Michigan, Montana, Nevada, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And these are the most vulnerable seats here, and there's 7 of them, as you can see. So there are a number of targets, and one of them, as I've been mentioning earlier, is Arizona. So yet again, Arizona is being that very critical state where that can help swing the presidential as well as the Senate majority. Swing Left National has been noting that they'll be tracking Republican seats across the country, in particular in Florida and Texas, to assess whether there's a chance that Democrats could win there. And if so, then Swing Left may recommend that groups realign some resources to try to take a swing at those states. But that's Kyoko, our master strategist, has given us a big no right now. So at all times we defer to her for the final say. I should note the way this is run is Swing Left National gives us recommendations, and then we run that internally with how we see the Tri-Valley fitting into this. So ultimately, it's our choice as a team about what we want to do, but it's helpful to get the recommendations from the national groups. Okay. Love you too. So the next thing that we want to do is focus on the House. So we do not have the majority in the House. Now that's a razor thin minority, if you will, and it requires. In fact, we only lost the House ultimately by about 7,000 votes in 2022, and so that is a margin that's small enough that it should be possible for us to regain that in 2024 with some good planning. And that's what we're trying to do now. So we have about 32 House races targeted across 17 states, including 15 seats that Biden won in 2020. So these are winnable elections, and they are very competitive elections, meaning that they're not guaranteed red, they're not guaranteed blue. So our efforts, you know, the postcards you write, the phone calls you make, will have a difference. So we're focusing on Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Illinois, Michigan, Nebraska, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Oregon, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Washington. That's a mouthful. Point is, we've got a lot of targets, and that actually distributes the group's efforts around a bit, but there are 500 groups, so we're trying to keep that groups focused on their nearby targets, which means that we're looking at California and the Western House districts. So there are another 30 districts or so that are potentially competitive, but the recommended priority is just the most competitive. So we've got a full list here. These are the if I'm understanding the notes from them correctly, these are the seats that are held by Democratic incumbents we need to re-elect. These are, let me pull that up here. Yep, and again, continuing the Democratic incumbents that we want to re-elect. And then these are the seats that we want to flip from red to blue. These folks are not moderate representatives. They are the ones that vote consistently for the Trumpian politics, and they're also they only won by small margins. So with a good push here, with a good with a good bit of boost for voter turnout, we can flip these races. In a number of these races, we're talking about just a percent or two. So just a few thousand votes is enough to change the nature of the game in these races. And if we go to, here we go, a continuation of that. Some of these folks here, let's see, Ashley. Do we have Ashley on this list? No, okay, that might have been the prior slide. Lost, oh that's right, in Pennsylvania won. There it is. So that's Representative Brian Fitzpatrick, won by just 1.6%. So if we can get a turnout of a few percent change, which is possible with postcarding, then that's enough to change the race. So in addition to managing to taking out the national taking out the Republican majority in the the House and the Senate, we also want to replace the GOP trifectas in states. So there are a number of states in which that's in place. That we need to start to get more Democrats in these state legislatures. So in particular, again, focus on Arizona there. Okay. Now, these are, and we're looking at supporting it if we can get resources allocated to this, whether this is phone banks, whether this is donations, or whether this is eventually in some mode canvassing. Judy Schwiebert and Stephanie Semanchek. We had Judy out to speak with the team in January, and she's been able to command a good turnout from voters. We're hoping to move her up into Senate and have her replaced with Stephanie. So that would be a big win and a critical flip in Arizona. So we can do this as a group. We're not, it's not us alone. There are hundreds of swing left groups. There are hundreds of other volunteer groups that are all pushing in the same direction. We'll be coordinating as the years have gone on. The groups have learned how to coordinate well together. And these groups do an extraordinarily good job focusing, bringing resources together. We've been seeing that over the past several cycles, working with groups like Reclaim Our Vote and others that help us allocate resources so that our time, our calls, and our postcards go to where they're most effective, and it does change races. So we want to use the suggestions from national. We want to use the connections we've built for various groups across the country, like Reclaim Our Vote, and we want to get back to canvassing, because canvassing, like Kyoko mentioned, that those face-to-face conversations change people's minds in a way that's much more powerful than postcarding. It's even more powerful than phone calls. There's just something about the old-fashioned face-to-face contact that makes a person think about their opinion a little bit more. And even though you may only talk to 10 people, you have a good chance of changing a number of those minds. So it is most important for us to be gathering up volunteers who can begin to help train the canvassing process. And then if you can't do canvassing, help train the phone banking, because those conversations have a significant effect. Canvassing is the most effective, but phone banking is second behind that. And then if we can't do that, then there's always postcarding. And if those are correctly targeted with some of the tricks that Reclaim Our Vote is identified, those can have a substantial surge in voter turnout. So like I mentioned here, then these are what our asks are. We're looking for those canvassing leads. We're looking for phone banking leads and back-end organizers. I want to make sure that we hit that again. And Kyoko, you had, looks like you had dropped in some notes here that I wanted to pass to you.
Yes, so this is a canvassing conversation because we know it's in Central Ohio, but what is CS13? So CS13 is going through 5 different counties. The smallest portion is San Joaquin, so it's only 20,000 voters. Out of that, it's about a little less than a half is Democrats, and another half of the Democrats' numbers are non-party preference. So as you can see, in every single county, it's almost like just about 50%, 40 to 50% of the voters are actually the Dems, and a bunch of, about half of the numbers of the Democrats are the no-party preference. So those are the target population for us to vote for Adam Gray. That's our candidate. So Adam Gray lost to John Duarte by less than 600 votes in last year, 2 years ago, 2022. So this is winnable. And like Bay Coalition and Team 6, they have been already working in the district since last summer, and actually did register over like 4,000 people in CA13 and CA22. I don't have the breakdown, but so we are building up the voter registration advantage as well. So a lot of no party preference are young voters who are likely to vote for Democrats in the election. However, they are not reliable voters. So we need to actually get in touch with them anywhere possible. So when we talk about canvassing, Lasop in San Joaquin County is the closest, and Modesto, Patterson, about 50 miles from Livermore. So it's about 1 hour drive. Turlock is another like 15 to 20 minutes longer. And when you drive to Merced, it's just less than 2 hours because it's 90 miles from us. But we are at the end of the East Bay and we are the closest to those areas. So anywhere in anywhere through the Merced, we can actually drive, and day trip is quite feasible. So we are literally located to do the canvassing. Most of the cities are not huge. Modesto is huge. Merced is huge. Madera is huge. But like Modesto is cut in less than half the CS13. So we have all these choices. And the next slide, please.
Yep.
So Bay Area Coalition, there are lots of different groups, swing left, individual. They have already committed a few places. So what they're trying to do is to have certain groups commit like once a month to go to the same place. So they will manage all the organizing part, and what we can do is we will supply people. So currently, already second Saturday every single month is in Modesto. Third Saturday is Patterson. Fourth Saturday is Merced. Fourth Sunday is Lasop for the Bay Area Coalition. And also Swing Left East Bay committed to do the bi-weekly, actually twice a month. They are actually rotating the locations. They do have actually separate lists, so they are not exactly knocking doors on the same people, but at least we want to have some action going every single weekend. So currently first Saturday and second Sunday are still open. So if we have enough interest, we can decide where and which dates we will adapt, and we can possibly organize in the one location in every single month. And of course, come closer to the election, we may actually increase more. But if we already have all these places, we may actually have cooperation with local dams and so forth. So to build a relationship, if we can commit to one of these weekend dates and start organizing, that would be really great. But we can't do just one person. So we need a team of 3-4 people at least committed to organizing part. And then we can actually sign up and create events in Mobilize, and we can recruit through the Swing Left, through the Bay Area Coalition. So more likely we may start small, like say 5 to 10 people, but as it goes along, later in the year, we're gonna have more people. But we would like to have things ready to go. So that's the canvassing part. And I kind of picked up the CS13 because it's a day trips things. So what I want to do is, if you are remotely interested in canvassing, we are gonna have canvassing organizing meeting so we can talk more about it. And also you can sign up for the Bay Area Coalition's canvassing lead trainers event, so you can learn what they have been doing, what they think which works best, because they have been doing for a long time. So that's the opportunities we can offer. And
The
can we
link-
go back to the, yes,
Is it a Zoom session?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is February 22nd. And phone banking training is February 16th. So those are the two things. And I want to explain a little bit more about the Arizona situation. Can we go back?
Yes, please. Tell me when to stop here. This one?
That one. Yeah. So this is the information I created. So AZ1 is a string graph target. So the current lap won by 3,000 votes. So it's a very small amount, actually. It was 2%. So in EZ1, this is the kind of outskirt of the Phoenix. So the Phoenix is on that left bottom. And also the, I think, Tempe is there. So some areas are a little bit more blue, and others are not. It's really purple. It's just like a Tri-Valley to Tracy. You know, what we are experiencing are exactly the same what they are experiencing. So issue-wise, education, healthcare, water, and of course, Arizona has right now 15 weeks ban. They are trying to reverse that. So they are currently collecting signatures, and Julie Schreiber is banking on it. So she is going to have a big event in March. So I just got asked to do the phone bank for them. So this is not give me the vote kind of stuff, because their local and congressional primary is in August. So it's too early to ask for the vote. But what we are asking is to come to this event so you can meet the two candidates and sign the petition to put this Arizona for abortion access. It's a constitution amendment measure they are trying to put on the November 8th ballot. So this is a big effort, and also it's a booster for the Arizona to actually get all the people out and vote, because it's a hot issue. Their goal is they need 383,923 signatures, but their goal is to collect 800,000 by July 3rd. So that's a big effort, and that's a big boost for the election itself. So there are three major legislative districts in AZ1, 2, 4, and 8. So we have been trying to help Judith and her maid, but we haven't been successful to capture the Senate. So last election, the Senate winner actually had 41,000, I think, and Judy actually got 40,000. So it's very close. So as long as she can just put herself out, it's very winnable. It's very competitive, so she needs a lot of help. That's why we want to help her again, because this is our third time to help her. And if we can flip the state Senate, that's great. And also, if we can actually boost in these areas, then participations, we can probably flip the AZ1. So that's the two bonuses, two with one shot, as well as you know, Arizona State, U.S. Senate race will be the three ways, because Cinema is running as independent. We're gonna have Democrats, her, and We don't know who it will be. If it's Carrie Lake, that's great. But the Republican candidates. So to win that race will be a really, really big task. It's probably the bigger challenge than winning the presidential. But for all of those reasons, we really need to help Arizona big time, and we have to do it from the bottoms up. Any question? Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Kyoko.
Yep.
So I'm going to take us back to then the some closeout thoughts here. So people volunteer for a reason. You know, you're taking your time out of your evening because you care about the changing the race. You care about changing the outcome. You care about we care about making sure that, you know, some small race or some large race changes for the better. I'd be curious to hear if we could have some of the folks here share about the why. That's sometimes it's helpful to hear what's driving other people to continue to volunteer. I know that we have had volunteers who have been here for many years, and yet they keep showing up. And what is it that motivates you? So if anyone would be interested, I could start off, I guess. So as I mentioned right at the very beginning, I started off in 2017 thinking that we'd be able to fix the Trump issue. That looked like a mistake of some sense, a lack of voter turnout that could be fixed, only to realize that the democracy was not a was a full engagement process, and that I had simply been taking a time out from what is an obligation that I feel like I need to make time for the rest of my life. And this looks to me like something that's simply, in some sense, a thanks to my society for the opportunities I've been given to help make sure that democracy runs correctly. Does anyone else want to share what they have to say? What keeps you turning out?
Did you ask me?
Please, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm long been an advocate for, doing something about climate change. And so that's kind of like been a center point for me. But, the worst part about it is that, we're confronted with either maintaining a democracy where people can figure out how to handle issues like that, or we devolve into essentially an autocratic state.
Yeah.
And we've got to do something to prevent that. I have to do something, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's 100 million little actions that cause a significant change. So thank you. Does anybody else want to share what motivates them?
Yeah, I agree with Van, and certainly beating Trump and preserving democracy, but all the other progressive causes that we're fighting for, reproductive health care choice for women is high on my list because I have, daughters and nieces in my family and granddaughters, and preserving public education because we're working against Moms for Liberty, especially in Livermore. So you name the progressive cause, I want to fight for it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you.
I want to leave this world in a better place for my daughters. And
Yeah.
that's what motivates me.
Thank you. So with that in mind, then, I guess our ask for the team here is we are, like we've mentioned here, we're looking for volunteers. I put a link in at the bottom and we share the link here. Kyoko, I grabbed the I'm in for 24 link and I threw that. I think that the link for the QR code, is that QR code for your link, Kyoko? Good, perfect. Okay. There was a Swing National link. We removed that and replaced that with our local version. If you are able to help, go to that link. That's a Google form where you can put in your contact information. Let us know how you think you can help. whether that's as a volunteer to do canvassing, whether that's as a volunteer to help us plan or coordinate. Now is the time for us to build up that team that we can get trained over the next few months. So we are kicking butt and we are ready for when the volunteer flood arrives. It has happened before. It has consistently happened before because people are turned by, amazingly, Trump is an amazing turnout device for Democrats. They help us realize what we stand for and what we stand against. And they will come out in floods to try to take action. And the best thing we can do is know how to help them get there. And that means that we've got to have volunteers who know how to guide people through the process. If that's just contacting them and helping get them routed to the right location so they can canvass, that's it. That changes the person's experience about the whole event. They come back again to do it another time because they find it rewarding. So that's the kind of help we're looking for. If you can do that, go to the link. It's just a moment here to put your email contact information. We can talk it over. We'll reach back out after the meeting and brainstorm how you might be able to help. So that's our ask for the team here. That's our ask for the group over the next few months. And there'll come a point for it pretty soon when the insanity of the election is on us, and it'll just be volunteers looking for actions all the time. And that's when we need to have the group well organized and well planned, ready to say yes to all those people who are looking for some way to help. So in closing, then, I want to mention that if you have questions or comments, reach out to me at me or Kyoko. I guess both of us have access to swinglefttrivalley@gmail.com. We send out a roughly monthly newsletter, try to capture what's going on in the Tri-Valley in terms of actions, upcoming events, and notices about our upcoming meeting. We keep an active link of the Tri-Valley specific events on the link tree, which we've got a link to in the newsletter that goes out. And if you can help make calls, we've got a link. If you can help write postcards, we've got a process that we don't do vote forward. We've actually found that the Reclaim Our Vote process is very effective for reaching out to potential voters in the Southeast. They've got a unique process that helps identify otherwise uncontacted voters who respond very positively postcards. So it's not someone who's just been getting floods of these and one more doesn't change it. And they've had remarkable success over the last few cycles. So we're huge fans of theirs. And we work with them specifically, as well as a number of other groups working with them. They're getting to be pretty famous now. And also, if you have money but not time, if you want to put donations somewhere, then we've got recommendations for where to go to on that at the link at the bottom. Yeah, go ahead, Kyoko.
Yeah, so the donation wise, I just put the Reclaim Our Vote once, but if you go to the link tree, Tri-Valley Go, all the options are there.
Yeah.
And the trend for the fundraising, donating is instead of just going to the campaign and donating for the candidate, instead we started to donate for the nonprofit organization who has been on the ground.
Yes.
So between the election, they keep going. And that's really important because most frequent complaint from the voters is, the candidates come knock on doors only when election time, and they don't talk to us and they don't really listen to us. And so why should I vote for them? And that gap can be actually filled in by a lot of different organizations. So the Reclaim Our Vote is one of them. They have the democracy centers in the South. So they have been organizing on the ground. So like they do offer phone banking, postcarding, texting, but like texting, it's not normally available to us because they use texting for the local younger volunteers to do it because they like to all the young people like to use the phone, and just anything to do is just like texting is really popular. So they use it as a bait. That's why we don't get to do it. It's kind of funny. But anyhow, all those things requires a good database, and they are not cheap. So they are trying to raise $111,000 this year to reach out 18 million voters in 7 states. So that fundraising is ongoing, and I'm pretty sure we are going to have some event coming up as well. And we are trying to figure out how to get Andrea, the founder of the Reclaim Our Vote campaign, to come and talk to us.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, that is probably happening in March. So just to be announced. And State Bridge is a sister district program to donate. And that one is now, the first event just happened last week. I missed it, but next one includes Arizona, and it's in March. So, I would love you to actually join the event and hear what they are doing on ground. And I'm pretty sure Arizona is going to talk about the collecting signatures. And so one question is, if we have the phone bank set up, are you guys interested in doing the phone bank, for Judy and Stephanie events to collect signatures? I just want to see the show of hands. So can we
When is
just,
that, Kyoko?
so that will be ongoing.
Okay.
And so I don't have the date yet, because they are actually setting up for us as soon as I say, yes, we are interested in, but I can't ask them if just one person is going to do it. So
Is the
Bob?
phone banking from home?
Yes, from the
Like
home.
the Democratic?
Yeah, so that will be most
Okay.
likely, yeah, virtual. So we are gonna set up probably, if I have time, well, actually in March, we will have more time. So yeah, we will have 2, 3 phone banks set up, and so you can get trained, and then you can do it from home on your own. That's how probably it's gonna go.
Yeah.
So Bob, can you stop sharing the screen
Sure, sure. I'll stop sharing.
so I can actually see?
Yep.
Mana and Van, and who else can make call? Linda? Yeah, that's Arizona. Okay, so I'm gonna ask her, and I'm gonna twist more people's hands, I guess.
Yeah. And thank you, everyone. I guess in some as some concluding notes here, I think folks have been seeing some of the up and down news on the daily basis. The good news, though, that I want people to keep in mind is every time there's been a special election in the last 4 to 6 years, the Democrats have been turning out at above the norm, and it's been consistent. And it has been a few points up to almost, in excess of 5 or 6 points above the polling expectations from previous averages from before Trump era. There is a substantial boost because of the work that volunteers like you do that has been consistent in showing up on season, on the election seasons and off season, and special elections. Special elections are now a Democratic specialty, and we win them now. We don't lose them. That used to be how Republicans regain seats. We can win this. And the kind of capabilities that these teams across the country, with volunteers like yourselves, just grassroots volunteers who put in a few hours here and there a month, are able to push back against, the entire MAGA Republican agenda, the entire focused efforts of a very well-organized group on the right. We're able to push back and we're able to win elections. And that is a formidable effect that we can bring to bear on the 2024 election. This is by no means a foregone conclusion. This is by no means going to be a red win. This can be another blue wave like that, like has happened in the past few years. We can do it, and we can regain the House. We can maintain the presidency. Yeah, and thank you everybody who has been doing
a lot of organizing part. Bill, Kathy,
thank you.
Marty, you guys have been doing all the postcarding stuff. We really appreciate it. And today I just had an interview with Asbury Church volunteer. So she's gonna actually try to reach out to her volunteers, well, actually her friends through the Asbury. And we also got Unitarian Church Livermore.
Yeah.
We are going to talk to them and they're going to do the postcarding as well. So we will expand our capacity for every single ways. I'm trying. And if you think you know somebody, it doesn't need to be even in tribal, because like postcarding, we can just send the postcards out and we can train them to do what we are doing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and of course, like phone banking is virtual, so you can actually recruit anybody. So you really need to think about who can be with us this year, because we are getting tired. We have been doing it since 2017, and it's been a long time. Even I am tired. But the anecdote is when you actually get together with friends and volunteers working together, you get energy from each other. And being together is a really big thing. So you'd like to start having postcarding party again.
Yeah.
I would like to start phone banking, not just a big one, but in a locally, we can get together at somebody's house and do it together. That was fun. And that was actually good for the new phone bankers, because we can just help them like there and then, instead of just trying to figure out how to help over the Zoom. That's really hard. So, we should start doing that. Right now, actually, I'm gonna stop the recording.